Hi, I'm Erik Asgeirsson, the CEO of CPA.com, and I'm here at Digital CPA with one of our keynotes, George Blankenship, who's one of the leaders in innovation and customer experience, and he's gotten a lot of this experience at some of the most innovative companies that we're all very familiar with, and that's Apple and Tesla and the Gap. So you're talking to the audience today about how these companies continue to think about customer experience and innovation. And one thing that we're thinking about here as we've come out of this pandemic and we're looking forward and we've seen this massive acceleration in the adoption curve is, how important is the evolution of client service to our firms and their clients?
Well, I think what my experience has been is that when there's an opportunity like this, the opportunity is substantial for the companies that do something that I focus on in my presentation, which is there's a lot of companies out there that do what needs to be done. They hire people, they look for productivity, they manage expenses, all the things that need to be done. Yep. But the ones that really make a difference are the ones that focus on what could be possible. Right. They do all the things that need to be done, but then they focus on what could we do for our clients? How could we push technology a little bit? How could we reinvent the way we interact with our clients? And when you do that, a couple of things happen. One is it differentiates you from others, and it also sort of gives your clients something unexpected, and it makes them surprised, and it makes them interested in doing business with you and then telling others about you. Right. And so they become ambassadors because you do things that are unexpected. And that's what I think drives a firm forward ahead of the others.
Well, how do you think about doing the unexpected, or how do you think about what you should be offering next?
Well, I think a lot of companies out there will go out and they'll do customer interact surveys. They'll do customer focus groups and stuff like that, and they're helpful. They're helpful, but think about it. When you ask people what they want, mm-hmm. they think about it in terms of what they think they can have. They don't think about what could be possible. So if you went back 10 years ago and you said, What do you want in your perfect car? What do you want? Tell me all the things you want. How many would say I want an electric motor? None. How many would say, well, I want software updates? Well, none. How many would say, well, would you be willing to order a car online that you'd never seen? Well, the answer would be no. Would you buy a car that you couldn't test drive? Well, no. Would you buy a car that you had to wait 3 or 6 months to get? Well, no. Well, that's what Tesla did. We did all the things that people wouldn't have said they wanted, and everything they said they wouldn't do. And now they're the most valuable automotive company on the planet by 10x.
And how did you do that innovation as you sat down with Elon Musk and team and you thought about the retail experience and you thought about, okay, so those are some of the attributes of the car service or the offering that you were going to provide to the customers. How did you think about the whole engagement, the whole customer engagement process?
Well, what we wanted to do is a little bit about what I learned at Apple, and we wanted to leverage technology as much as possible so that customers could engage with us however they wanted to engage. Mm-hmm. So when we set up how are we going to handle the ordering process for a car? Well, we decided we'll just do it all online, mm-hmm. 100% online. And so if you're in a store, you go to a computer in the store and you open up an account if you don't already have one, and you design your car, you order it, and the order goes directly to the factory. And it works. And so, you think about, well, how does that help? Well, it helps, think of Q2 of last year when everything was shut down everywhere. Right. Every car dealer was shut down and every mall was shut down, and people are sitting at home ordering cars, and Tesla had a profit in Q2 of last year and others were struggling just to stay alive. So the ones that are the most advanced with the customer interaction are the ones who lead the way and can weather whatever storm there is. So we just try to figure out how can we enable our customers to engage with us however they want to engage, not how it's been done the same way for the last 100, 150 years. How can we enable them to engage with us however they want to engage?
Well, I think it's very insightful because you can be fooled sometimes when you go to the customers and say, what do you want, when they don't always know exactly what are the options. So it's like you got to explain the options. When we think about what these firms have been doing, they've been operating in the cloud with their clients. They were well prepared. Many of them were well prepared, like Tesla was when everything shut down, and they were offering these client advisory services, client accounting services through cloud accounting, cloud bill payment, and cloud payroll. And now when they think about what's next, they do need to think about, okay, what are the capabilities, and really how should my client be operating in the future with me as their real trusted advisor. So with that kind of setup, thinking a little bit about your experience at Apple in working with Steve Jobs. We've heard a lot about how Steve Jobs thought about innovation. Maybe reflect a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, innovation, whether it was a product, a customer experience, or a service, was always the first question. How do we develop a long-term customer relationship? And how do we get customers to want to keep coming back again and again and again, and not know why? And that was the key, not know why. And one of the things that a lot of people get tied up with is they get tied up with what other people say. And everybody said the Apple Store was a bad idea. I mean, think of the business model here. We're going to go out and we're going to get some really expensive real estate, and then we're going to hire a whole bunch of people and have a lot of payroll, and then we're going to train them, and then we're going to make these really expensive products, and we're going to put them in a store, and it all has a margin of 8%. And we have a 2.5% market share, and the other guy has 97.5%. Okay,
right.
So you look at the business model and you go,
a lot of expenses.
You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
This will never, ever, ever work. This will never work. And analysts said it wouldn't work. The press said it wouldn't work. Everybody said it wouldn't work. But that's when you have to step back and just realize that you can't let anyone else get in the way of you doing what you know deep down inside is the right thing to do. And we knew it was the right thing to do. And so we did. We went out and we didn't listen to the analysts, we didn't listen to the press, and we went on, and everybody knows that Apple sort of became the most valuable company on the planet by doing what everybody else said was a bad idea. So you just have to have conviction to move forward for your clients, and when you do, incredible things can happen.
Well, I'm going to push you a little bit further just on that ongoing reinvention, because here, they've both Tesla and Apple have truly arrived. But they always seem to be, thinking about, okay, this is the next thing that you need. And one thing that we're working a lot on is what we're calling Client Advisory Services 2.0, and saying, we want to dream about where things can go with this very powerful back office capability that firms can offer to small businesses. They really, the small businesses of the last decade have truly entered the information age by putting in place all of these different technology capabilities and having the firms really run the machines and be their experts and provide these services. So in some ways, we're just beginning, and that's why we want to push. We want to push here at Digital CPA for the firms to continue to reimagine how they can provide these services. So how do, you're back on Apple and Tesla, so the energy at Apple as they just keep coming out with these next offerings.
Well, think about Apple. Think about 2000 to 2010.
Right.
It's all about products. Okay, it was the iPod, then the iPod Mini, and then the iPhone, and then the iPad. So
right.
It was about products and getting the products into people's hands that they could then leverage in the next 2 decades. And what's it now? It's about services. They got Apple TV, and you've got all the different services that make everything to go together. And the App Store. The App Store didn't come out until 2008 or 2009,
right.
but it couldn't have done anything until there was a phone.
Right.
So what you do is you take each step along the way and you try to figure out what does this enable. So you start with an iPod. You go to an iPod Mini, then you go to a phone, then you go to an iPad, and then you go to a watch. And everybody, whenever it first came out, everybody said a watch. A watch.
Yeah.
Nobody's
right.
going to buy that watch. And then you look around, and everybody's sort of got one of these watches, and they're connecting it to their phone, and their phone is connected to the App Store, and now a whole bunch of apps are now working with the and then I can unlock my computer with my watch, and whenever and think about this,
right.
whenever the coronavirus hit, and everybody had to start wearing a mask, Apple then said, well, wait a second, let's use technology. And so what can do is your phone can be unlocked with your watch if you're wearing a mask, and Face ID doesn't work. So you can tie all these things together in this ecosystem, and here's the key. Once you get people into your ecosystem and it works, and you keep taking care of them, the possibility of them going somewhere else is really difficult. I mean, if you have an iPhone and you have an Apple Watch and you have an Apple TV and you have an Apple computer, what are the chances you're going to buy a Samsung phone?
Right.
It's not impossible, and there is nothing wrong with a Samsung phone. It's a great phone, but you're in the ecosystem. And what I think that your team needs to do is to focus on how can you offer more and more and more to your clients, so that you get them more and more involved with you and what you're doing and how you're doing it. Take great care of them, and then they'll just continue to do more and more and more, and they'll tell more and more people. And that's really what you want. You want the ambassadors out there.
That's right. Well, I think that's a great way to kind of end this discussion. I really appreciate you being with us today. And when I think about everything that you just said, and I think about where things are going, in particular, we've been talking about client advisory services, it's about doing things such as further automation of the employee inputs, getting that data into these financial systems, the general ledger. Then secondly, interpreting all this information with state-of-the-art financial planning and analysis tools. So it's like what you just said with the Apple analogy. There's so many additions that you can add to this ecosystem that makes it a much deeper relationship with their clients. So I know you're going to give us all a lot to think about today here at Digital CPA. So thanks, George, for being with us. I love your energy and really appreciate you being here today.
Absolutely my pleasure. And I think if I was going to close, what I would say is, what I think it needs to get across to people is that somebody's going to do this.
Yes.
Somebody is going to do it. And the only question is, will it be you? That's the key. Will it be you? And I think that's why people are here today.
It's a fair question. So thank you.
My pleasure.